Okay, I just wanted to do a little update video for my Miss Pac-Man with the 60-in-1 JAMMA board in it. And my Miss Pac is a stock machine. I added the Lizard Lick JAMMA adapter, which is a real simple little device that plugs into the stock harness and allows you to easily plug a JAMMA board into your Miss Pac-Man. And since I made my last video, I've actually gotten a new monitor, and this is a new Wells Gardner D7700, I believe. And it's a great monitor, and it was cheap, like $145, real crisp, no burn-in, obviously, and it's a direct replacement for a stock Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man machine. Works with a ton of cabinets. And also, I recently, actually the other day, replaced the control panel on my Miss Pac. Now, it's really important to me that I keep this machine as stock as possible. I don't want to ruin it at all. And so here's the original control panel. This is the stock control panel that came with the machine from the factory. So I removed that, and I bought a reproduction one. And I got this at mikesarcade.com. And the reason I did this is because I wanted these buttons here. I have two buttons to the left and right of the joystick. I kept my original joystick, and it was very easy to install. I got a new control panel overlay from 2bits.com, which is actually makes the best overlay. A lot of the reproduction overlays, the screen printing on Miss Pac-Man over here looks like crap. This looks pretty good. The only thing though is this has a copyright Namco opposed to the original, which has a copyright Midway. But a lot of people have been asking me how I wired these buttons on my other control panel to do the fire button. Because if you don't want to get a new control panel, you can actually wire these buttons for fire 1 and 2. And it's actually pretty simple to wire this. When you get the JAMMA adapter, see if I can do this without destroying it. Okay, so from the JAMMA adapter, I'm going to try, I did this kind of really quick. I actually have 4 wires here. This is coming right from the JAMMA adapter. There's a P1, P2, and P3 wire and a ground. And the harness that I had made, it plugs right into the JAMMA adapter. So you only need 2 of the wires, the P1 and P2 and the ground button, ground wire. And all you need to do, and this is kind of a mess, I just, for now, just twisted them and put some electrical tape on them. But you can see here, originally, using the player 1 and player 2 start, you just run the P1 button to the non-ground lead. And the way to figure out which one is ground is the one that's, the ground is actually connected to all the buttons. They're all linked together. And you can see here, see this red wire that goes from here to here? This is the ground wire, okay? So all you do is you take the ground from the Lizard Lick JAMMA adapter and you hook it up to either one of these. Doesn't matter. We could put it right there or right here. And then you take the P1 lead and you just splice it in on the non-ground lead on the player 1 button. And I actually used to have it over here. And then you take the P2 button and you splice it into the non-ground terminal on the player 2 start button. And then after you do that, the player 1 button will act as the start button and it'll also act as the fire button. And then the player 2 button will act as the player 2 start button, and it will also work as the secondary fire. So that's how I originally had it, and then I just added these 2 buttons. And what I did is the inside buttons closer to the joysticks, I made those the fire 1. Whoa! I made those fire 1, and the outside buttons I made fire 2. And I used the same wiring principle I used over here, so you have a common ground, so you can see these wire, the buttons are all wired together with the ground. So ground to ground, and over here ground to ground. And then P1 I sent to the inside button here, and P1 I sent to the non-ground lead over here. And I have them all coming together, and they're just kind of wired that way. So I don't know if that just made any sense what I just said, but I mean, basically you need to run the P1 button to a non-ground lead on the switch, and run the P2 button to a non-ground lead on the secondary fire switch, and then connect the grounds together between the two switches. So anyway, this is it, the Mispac 60-in-1, and it's pretty cool. Well, it actually has Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, Galaga, Frogger, Donkey Kong 3. Here's Dig Dug. So anyway, there you have it. Take care. One more thing I want to show that's pretty cool with this monitor is that it has a remote board, and you know, like my other machines, I need to pull them out, take off the back of the cabinet, and twist knobs from behind to adjust the monitor. So with this new Wells Gardner, it has a remote board that actually has an on-screen controls. Because this is a vertical mount, the on-screen controls are actually sideways. But you can see you can adjust all this stuff right from this remote board, and it's actually very nice. So that's a nice little feature of going with a modern monitor in an old arcade machine. But it still has, you know, the correct characteristics of an arcade monitor. It's just a little more modern. So there you go.